Hi, welcome to the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey. I'm going to talk about the film, I guess review, I suppose, Glengarry, Glen Ross. And the reason I'm going to review it, I've watched it, really, I've muscled it down recently, and Glengarry, Glen Ross is written by, it's a film based on a play by, I believe, David Mamet. Could be wrong on that, been a while. Came out in the early 90s, circa like 1991. A slew of really good actors are in this. Al frickin' Pacino before he went Al Pacino. Um, who else is in this? Everyone. Ed Harris is in this. The worthless Baldwin is in this movie. Alan Arkin, bunch of people. Who am I? I'm forgetting somebody. Kevin Spacey's in this, and it takes place almost exclusively in an office where they sell property, and they call people on the phone. They have leads. That you're going to hear that word a lot if you watch this movie. They're salesmen. They're selling property. They have leads. They call up the leads and they're like, Mr. Dershowitz, according to my associate, you were interested in buying property on Durka Bahumaville, and that stuff. And then they sell the property and they make their living that way. And the whole premise is that the leads, Elliot, what's that guy? Elliot Levine? No. Other guy. It's Levine. Shelley Levine plays. He's this old dude. He's like, the leads are weak. They've called everybody the same people 15 times. The whole first 45 minutes is they're angry, and there's four salesmen and the guy who's in charge of sales. They're angry. They're frustrated. Having a hard time selling this property based on these leads, and they want the new leads, the Glengarry leads, the Glengarry Glen Ross leads. And then Baldwin shows up, who gives this speech that originally wasn't in the play, and he's like, "You don't get the leads the leads are for closers." A really impassioned speech, and then there's a break-in, and somebody steals those leads. And then a cop shows up, a detective, I suppose, to question everybody who works there to find out who stole them. And then they try to sell things more, and it's just like, I don't know why. Why this film is a very respected film that a lot of people have seen. I had to watch it in college for a class at one point. I think it was high school. Down a memory hole, but it's I don't know how to freaking see if Wikipedia can do this, because it's a film that so came out in early 90s. Let me give you some info on this while I have you here. This will just take a couple days. Hang on. Of course, I should have done this beforehand, but here we go. Glen. Good. Old white guy fingers. Okay, here we go. Glengarry Glen Ross came out in 1992. October 2nd, 1992. It's directed by James Foley. The screenplay is by David Mamet. I was right on that. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon. That's the guy's name I was trying to remember. Alec Baldwin. Ed Harris, Kevin Spacey, Alan Arkin, and Jonathan Pryce. And there's scant else. The detective is somebody named Jude Cicolello. Okay. And then there's two or three people that have really small bit parts in it. Not a lot of people in this film. Let me read you the synopsis just from Wikipedia, because good lord. Plot. Here we go. The film depicts 2 days in the lives of four real estate salesmen who are supplied with leads. Like I said, names and phone numbers of prospects, and use deceitful and dubious tactics to make sales. Many of the leads are rationed out by office manager John Williamson, played by Kevin Spacey, lack either the money or desire to actually invest in land. Blake, Alec Baldwin, is hit by Mitch and Murray, the owners of Premier Properties, to motivate the sales team. He unleashes a torrent of verbal abuse on the salesman and announces only the top two will be allowed to access the more promising Glengarry leads. The rest of them will be fired. Shelley, the Machine Levine, Jack Lemmon, is a once successful salesman in a long-running slump with a daughter in the hospital. Desperate to keep his job, Levine tries to persuade Williams to give him some of the Glengarry. I'm not going to get all of this. Yeah, and, okay. So and then there's a robbery, someone steals the leads. And the whole film, I'll count Spacey and there's 5 guys who don't like their jobs. And it's just dreary. So, in terms of dialogue, it's really well written. In terms of 1992, it looks fine as a film. It's not a big production. It's based on a play. So, very simple sets. But that's the point. You know, it looks dreary, but the idea is this is not like a big, fancy, happy office. This is a rundown shithole that they work in. And the acting is fantastic. Everybody involved in it. What's interesting, if you ever get a chance to watch this film, you haven't, is that you could have taken these 4 guys and had them switch up the roles, and they all would have crushed it. Ed Harris could have played Kevin Spacey's character, or the Ricky Roma character, maybe even the Jack Lemmon character, and it all would have played fine. So the acting talent is fantastic in this film. Their performances are all fantastic in this film. I just don't give a shit. I can watch it for a while just because of the performances are so good. But I don't care what happens to these people. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, just go get a different job. And so, like you see on the chalkboard, there's the sales they brought in. I don't know if it's that month or that year. And Alan Arkin at one point is like, that's it. I'm out of a job. Bye. Yay. It's like, if you were making 6 figures, yeah, that's a bummer. But from what you're telling me you're making, they don't name any exact, but it's like, I make that much money. If it's this bad, go get a job anywhere and quit bitching about it. So, you know, like Jack Lemmon, he's got a daughter who's in the hospital. I don't remember the other guys really talking about their families too much. But it's like, okay, you can do this job. There's a million like it you can do. And if you're making crap money, there's a million jobs you can go get. Why put up with this abuse? Why deal with all this? So at one point, Ed Harris, spoilers, I guess, he ends up working for the guy across the street, I guess, spying on this business, which is like, nah. But it turns out that Ed Harris's character and Jack Lemmon's character, they stole the leads. They're the ones who stole the leads. And at one point, Jack Lemmon's like, yeah, I got $2,500 for him. But Moss, he got more. And I'm like, you could go to prison for what you just did. You did a break-in. That's burglary. That's B&E, breaking and entering, and theft. And I don't know what they even asked the question once how much they're worth. Why would you do a burglary for anything less than like $100,000? You're looking at years in prison. Good luck getting a job after this one, after this shit, for that little money. So I can't. If you're that stupid, you're not desperate. You're stupid. Go get another job anywhere. And I don't know what city this is supposed to be in, part of the country, but go get a job. Go get another job. Don't break into the place. So I just have a hard time getting behind these characters and their concerns, and I have a hard time giving a crap about their plight. Go get a forklift operator job and make $40,000 a year. I don't know what that would be circa 92, but with inflation. So I just can't give a shit. It's so that's it on Glengarry Glen Ross. It looks fine for 1992, on par filmmaking, and direction, visuals, all that stuff. Dialogue is well written and all that kind of thing, and the acting's good. I just don't give a fuck what happens to these people. I don't know what else to tell you. So, Glengarry, Glen Ross. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a fine film, I guess, but I just can't give a shit. Yeah. Cheers. Oh, good journey.